Welcome to 75 Stories, a podcast created to commemorate the 75th anniversary of Normandale Lutheran Church in Edina, Minnesota.
Well, the impetus for starting the nursery school, I think, was twofold. One, we had just completed the beautiful, wonderful education wing of Normandale, and it was very busy on Sundays and maybe a few nights, but it sat empty during the week. And we thought, how can we use that space beneficially? And the other part of it, the impetus, was we had a Chris Ed director named Trudy Lundblad, who was full of energy and had like a magnetic personality. She asked you to do something and you were pretty well bound to say yes. So we got started with the idea of what are we going to do during the weekdays with this new facility, which I think had been dedicated just before the nursery school started, 1973. And so Trudy formed a committee. There were 5 of us, all teachers on the committee, and we studied what should be done with this space. It's fun to think back to those early days. We had doctors and dentists, and even one of the Bachman's families came and helped plant little flowers for the Mother's Day gift. We had 2 to 3 field trips every year. We had the police come. They brought the big pumper fire truck over. And so many of these people that were involved also came into the classroom and gave little talks. We had a circus, and that circus became so popular that the fireside room used to be packed with people and standing room around the edges, and each child had an act and a song, and mothers did face painting, mothers sewed the costumes even for the teachers. And one year, Channel 5 came out and filmed our circus, and it was run on I think it was called Sharon and Steve show in the afternoon. And so that was a pretty big event. And years later, when I was out for a little walk on my son's street, Arden Avenue, a lady came across the lawn and she said, "Do you remember me? My son was the ringmaster for the circus." And that's the connection she had and remembered. Ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, welcome to the Normandale Nursery School Circus. And we stood there and laughed and reminisced. Most pastors came down to visit, at least once a month maybe, and bring a greeting and a prayer. And one of my favorite stories of the visit by Pastor Dave Andert. He was a kind of big guy, but he had lots of hair, dark brown hair. He appeared one day at the door, and he stood there to bring a greeting, and little Kai Espenson looked up. I could see that little child yet today, pointed at him, and he said, "I see a buffalo." It was perfect. One of our regrets in the early days was that we didn't keep a journal of such events. Kids say the most wonderful thing, and we should have had that. Well, I'm sure Carrie's doing a wonderful job. My advice to her would simply be love those little children, love them, love them. You never know when the seed is being planted, and water them with love, care, safety. Just take it to the Lord in prayer, and He's a good guide. It was such a joy to work at the nursery school. I loved Normandale. My family loved being here every Sunday without fail. So for me, it was just a joy. One of the real joys was having all these people that joined Normandale Church as a result of the nursery school. I think probably the greatest joy was seeing happy, well-adjusted little people learning to get along with others, learning to say prayers and of thanksgiving, going for walks. We did lots of attributing blessings to God for our families as well.
We are so glad you joined us today here at 75 Stories. If you'd like to share your own story, please contact Christy Shepard at kshepard@normluth.org. Join us next week for another story, and share this podcast with your friends and family. We are all part of the Normandale community.